They made me pay for everyone's college, weddings, and houses for 30 years. Then uninvited me from Thanksgiving because I'm too poor to fit in. Let's make this moment special. Subscribe if you believe in stories like this and tell us your city in the comments below. The text from my sister Rachel came through at 10:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. Hey Joanne, about Thanksgiving this year. My stomach dropped before I even read the rest. After 30 years of being the family's personal ATM, I knew that tone. I was sitting in my cramped studio apartment, the one I'd moved into after selling my house to pay for my nephew Troy's medical school tuition. The walls were thin enough that I could hear my neighbor's TV. I read on. Mom thinks it might be better if you sat this one out. Everyone's bringing their new partners and talking about their vacation homes, and well, you know how you are about money lately. How I am about money. I stared at those words until they blurred. This was the same family I'd sacrificed everything for. The same people whose dreams I'd funded with my teacher's salary and every inheritance I'd ever received. I thought about my cousin Gilbert's wedding last year, the $50,000 affair I'd contributed $15,000 toward. My niece Destiny's college graduation, where I'd covered 4 years at Howard University. The down payment on my brother Devin's house in Oakland. All of it gone. And now I was too poor to fit in? My hands shook as I typed back. What do you mean, sit this one out? The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, you've been so stressed about money. We thought you'd be more comfortable. Comfortable. That word felt like a slap. I wasn't stressed about money, I was broke because of them. I wasn't always the family bank. Growing up in South Memphis, we didn't have much, but Mama raised us to stick together. I was the oldest of 4, and from the time I could understand words, I heard the same thing. Joanne, you're the strong one. You're going to do something special. When I got my teaching job at 23, making $38,000 a year, Mama cried happy tears. "My baby made it," she'd said, holding my face in her hands. That's when it started. Devin needed help with his car payment, just $200 a month, temporary. Rachel's apartment deposit, $1,500 she'd pay me back. Gilbert needed books for community college, $800 for the semester. You're the only one working a real job, Joanne, Mama would say, her eyes pleading. Family helps family. So I helped. I ate ramen and skipped meals. I drove a beat-up Honda Civic while they upgraded to newer cars. I wore the same 5 outfits to work, rotating them carefully, while Rachel posted Instagram photos in new boutique finds. But I told myself it was temporary. They'd get on their feet and then we'd all be okay. Except they never got on their feet, they got comfortable standing on my back. My father had died when I was 19, leaving Mama with a small life insurance policy. She'd split it between my siblings, giving them each $20,000 for their futures. I got $5,000 and a speech about responsibility. You're already set, baby, she'd explained. They need help starting out. I was still paying off my own student loans. The call came from Mama on a Sunday morning in 2008. I was 31, finally had $15,000 saved for a down payment on my own place. I'd been looking at a cute 2-bedroom in Midtown, nothing fancy but mine. Joanne, baby, I need you to sit down. My heart stopped. Is someone sick? No, nothing like that. It's about Destiny. My niece, Rachel's daughter, was 17 and brilliant. Top of her class, acceptance letters from everywhere. She got into Howard, baby. Full ride almost, but there's still fees, housing, books. We're looking at about $12,000 a year out of pocket. I watched my dream of homeownership slip away as Mama continued. Rachel's struggling, you know how it is. And this is Destiny's future. Your daddy would have wanted this. There was the guilt card. My father, who'd worked himself to death at the FedEx warehouse, who'd always talked about education being the way out. How could I say no to his granddaughter's education? I'll figure it out, Mama. I knew you would. You're my special girl. I liquidated my savings that week. Wrote the check for Destiny's first semester. When I called to tell Rachel, she barely said thank you before launching into complaints about having to buy Destiny a new laptop and dorm decorations. It's so expensive, she whined. I looked around my apartment at my 7-year-old laptop and thrift store furniture and said nothing. 4 years later, at Destiny's graduation, she thanked everyone in her speech. Her mother, her grandmother, her friends. My name never came up. When I mentioned it to Rachel afterward, she looked confused. Well, you didn't expect a shout-out, did you? Your family. That's what family does. The year I turned 35, everyone decided to get married. First was Gilbert in March. A destination wedding in Punta Cana. It's going to be intimate, he promised. Just a small thing. The small thing cost his guests $2,000 each for flights and resort fees, plus gifts. I put it on a credit card. Then came my brother Devin in July. He'd proposed to his girlfriend Shanice at Christmas, and she wanted a fairy tale wedding. The budget kept climbing, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000. His fiancée's family was well off and covering half. Devin needed help with his portion. Just 10 grand, sis, he said over the phone. I know it's a lot, but this is once in a lifetime. I just paid off the credit card from Gilbert's wedding. Devin, I don't have that kind of money. Come on, Joanne. You've got that teacher pension building up. You can pull from it. That's for retirement. And this is for my happiness. What good is retirement if your family isn't happy now? The guilt worked. I took out a loan against my pension, promising myself I'd pay it back within 5 years. At the wedding, Shanice's family whispered about the cheap decorations on Devin's side. I sat at a table in the back, wearing a dress I'd owned for 8 years, watching $20,000 of debt dance under crystal chandeliers. The worst came in November. My cousin Natasha's wedding. She'd been dating her boyfriend for 9 months when they decided to elope to Vegas. Just need $1,500 for the chapel and hotel, she messaged me. Everyone's chipping in. I asked who everyone was. Turned out I was everyone. The others had already spent so much on Gilbert and Devin's weddings. Natasha promised she'd never ask for anything again. Devin called me in 2015 with news that changed everything. Joan, we found it. The perfect house. He and Shanice had been renting a nice apartment in Oakland, but now they wanted to buy. The house was $400,000. A 3-bedroom craftsman with a yard. That's amazing, I said, genuinely happy for them. We're short on the down payment. We've got $30,000, but we need $50,000 for 20% down to avoid PMI. Can you help? $20,000. I just turned 42 and had exactly $26,000 in my savings, the most I'd ever had at once. I was planning to finally buy my own place. Devin, that's everything I have. And we'll pay you back. We're going to rent out a room and Shanice is getting promoted. 2 years max, you'll have every penny back with interest. Something in me wanted to say no. The word formed on my tongue. But then he added, Mama's so proud. She keeps telling everyone her son's buying a house. You know how much this means to her. I wired the money the next day. Devin and Shanice closed on the house 3 weeks later. The photos they posted showed a beautiful home with hardwood floors and a gourmet kitchen. I was still in my studio apartment now with $2,000 to my name. At the housewarming party, Shanice gave a speech thanking her parents for their support and Devin for being such an amazing provider. When I gently asked Devin about repayment plans later that night, he looked annoyed. Damn, Joan, we just moved in. Can you not be so pressed about money for once? I stopped asking after that. 7 years later, I'm still waiting for my first payment. Mama was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2017. I got the call from Rachel while I was teaching summer school trying to earn extra money. It's stage 2. She needs surgery and chemo. The insurance will cover most of it, but there's still co-pays, deductibles, medications. My world stopped. How much are we looking at? Maybe 15,000 total. We need to split it between us. Finally, I thought. Finally, everyone would contribute equally. We had a family meeting at Mama's house that Sunday. Devin showed up in a new Tesla. Rachel wore Gucci sunglasses. Gilbert brought his new girlfriend who had a Birkin bag. And I arrived in my 12-year-old Honda wearing Target clothes. We sat around Mama's kitchen table and Rachel pulled out a calculator. So 15,000 divided by 4 is $37.50 each. Wait, Devin interrupted. I just bought the house. I'm tapped out. Plus Shanice is pregnant. We've got medical bills coming. Rachel nodded. And I'm barely making it. Single mom, you know how it is. Gilbert shrugged. I'm between jobs right now. But Joanne, you've got that stable teacher income. They all looked at me. Mama sat in her chair looking small and scared, her eyes meeting mine. Whatever y'all work out is fine, she said quietly. I paid the entire 15,000. I took out another loan, maxed out 2 credit cards and picked up a weekend tutoring job. For 6 months during Mama's treatment, I drove her to every appointment, bought her groceries, cleaned her house. Devin visited twice. Rachel came by once a week but always had somewhere else to be. Gilbert sent flowers. When Mama went into remission, she held a dinner to celebrate. She thanked God, her doctors, and her strong children who rallied around her. I waited for her to acknowledge what I'd done specifically, but she just smiled at all of us equally. My nephew Troy was different from the others. Gilbert's son, he actually acknowledged my help and seemed genuinely grateful. When he got into Mahari Medical College in 2019, I was proud. Aunt Joanne, I know you've done so much for this family, he said when he called to tell me. I'm going to get scholarships and loans. I'm not asking you for anything. That should have been a relief. Instead, Gilbert called me 2 days later. Troy's too proud to ask, but he shouldn't start his career buried in debt. He needs about 40,000 to supplement what financial aid won't cover. Over 4 years. $40,000. I was 50 years old and had 13,000 in retirement savings, about a tenth of what I should have had. Gilbert, I can't. This is a doctor, Joanne. A doctor in the family. Think about what that means. Think about how Daddy would burst with pride. I thought about my father who'd never finished high school, who'd broken his body so we could have more. Would he want me to sacrifice my future for Troy's? Or would he want me to finally take care of myself? Please, sis, Gilbert said. Just this last time. Those words, last time, I'd heard them for 30 years. But Troy was a good kid. Smart, kind, hardworking. If anyone deserved help, it was him. I sold my car and bought a cheaper one, pocketing 8,000. I took out another pension loan for 15,000. I got a second job teaching night classes at a community college. Over 4 years, I scraped together $40,000. Troy graduated medical school this past May. At his graduation dinner, he stood up and made a speech. I couldn't have done this without my dad's support, my grandma's prayers, and Aunt Joanne's sacrifice. My eyes filled with tears. Finally, acknowledgement. Then Gilbert stood up. That's what family does. We all contributed what we could. I was driving home from my second job when my car broke down in September. The mechanic said it needed 3,000 in repairs, more than the car was worth. I called Devin, remembering the 20,000 he still owed me. Hey, my car died. Any chance you could help me out? Even a couple thousand would. Damn, Joan, your timing is terrible. We just booked a Mediterranean cruise for our anniversary. 15 days, we leave next month. A cruise? Devin, you owe me $20,000. Silence. Then, that was 7 years ago. I thought that was a gift. A gift? You said loan. You promised to pay me back. Look, I don't have time for this negative energy. We're family. You need to let go of this scorekeeping mentality. He hung up. I sat in my dead car in the AutoZone parking lot and cried for the first time in years. The next day I called Rachel about borrowing money for a new used car. She laughed, actually laughed. Girl, you're the one with the stable job. I thought you'd be set by now. What have you been doing with your money? What had I been doing? I'd been funding her daughter's education, that's what. Rachel, I paid for Destiny's entire college education. $48,000. And we appreciated that. But that was years ago. You should have recovered by now. Maybe you're just bad with money. Something cracked inside me. I went to my storage unit that weekend and pulled out every receipt, every bank statement, every canceled check from the past 30 years. I made a spreadsheet. The total came to $372,000. Almost $400,000 I'd given to my family, and I had nothing to show for it but debt and a broken-down car. I rarely scrolled Facebook, but that October evening I was eating ramen in my apartment and mindlessly checking my phone. That's when I saw Rachel's post. It was a photo of her, Devin, Gilbert, and their families at some upscale restaurant. The caption read, "Thankful for my siblings. Planning our annual Thanksgiving feast. This year's theme, gratitude and abundance. Can't wait to celebrate with my successful family. #blessed, #family first, #living our best lives." The comments were full of heart emojis and congratulations. Then I saw Devin's reply, "Can't wait. Shanice is planning something special. 5-star catering this year." My phone buzzed. Rachel's text. The one about sitting Thanksgiving out because I was too poor to fit in. I read it again, then looked at the Facebook post. They were having Thanksgiving without me and announcing it publicly before even telling me privately. I scrolled through more posts. Gilbert had shared a photo of his new Audi. Devin posted about their Mediterranean cruise. The one he couldn't afford to pay me back for, apparently. Rachel had pictures from a spa weekend in Napa. Troy, the nephew I'd put through medical school, had posted about his new BMW and his luxury apartment. All of them living their best lives. On my dime. I looked around my studio apartment. At the futon I'd bought from Goodwill. The TV I'd owned for 12 years. The empty refrigerator because I'd been skipping meals to save money. And something inside me snapped. Not with sadness, with clarity. For 30 years I'd been telling myself that sacrifice was love. That family meant giving until you had nothing left. That being strong meant being silent about my own needs. But they didn't love me. They loved my money. And now that I had none, I was an embarrassment. Someone to hide. I opened my laptop and started writing. Not to them, to myself. A list of every sacrifice, every broken promise, every dismissal. By 3 a.m. I had pages of documentation. And for the first time in 3 decades I had a plan. Mama called me the next morning. "Joanne, baby, come by the house today. We need to talk." Her voice had that tone, the one that meant I was in trouble somehow. I drove my rental car, $200 a week I couldn't afford, to her house. Everyone was there. Devin, Rachel, Gilbert, even Destiny and Troy. An intervention. "Sit down, baby," Mama said, patting the couch. I remained standing. "What's this about?" Rachel spoke first. "We're worried about you. You've been so angry lately, bringing up old stuff about money. It's not healthy." Devin nodded. "You keep guilting us about the past. We're trying to move forward, but you're stuck." Stuck. I felt my blood pressure rising. I'm stuck because you all took everything from me. Gilbert sighed. See? This is what we mean. This victim mentality. We're family. We helped each other. When? The word came out sharp. When did any of you help me? They looked at each other. Finally, Mama spoke. Joanne, we gave you something more valuable than money. We gave you purpose. After your daddy died, you were lost. Taking care of us gave your life meaning. I stared at my mother, the woman who'd raised me, who I'd sacrificed everything for. My purpose was being your ATM? Don't be dramatic, Rachel snapped. You chose to help. Nobody forced you. You guilt me at every turn. You made me feel like I'd be betraying Daddy if I said no. Destiny, my niece who I'd put through college, spoke up. Aunt Joanne, maybe you're just jealous that we're all doing well now. It's not our fault you didn't plan better. The room went silent. Even Mama looked shocked. But nobody corrected her. That's when I understood. They didn't see me as family. They saw me as a resource they'd depleted, and now they were discarding the empty vessel. You're right, I said quietly. This was my fault. I should have said no 30 years ago. I walked out. Behind me I heard Mama call my name, but I didn't turn back. November 20th. I'd been no contact with my family for 3 weeks. My phone blew up at first. Angry texts about disrespect, voicemails about forgiveness, Mama crying about family unity. Then silence. They'd given up. Good. I spent those weeks talking to a lawyer and a financial advisor. Turns out, some of the money I'd given could be legally claimed as loans, especially the amount to Devon for his house, since we had text messages about repayment. I filed a civil suit for $50,000. A fraction of what he owed, but what I could prove. I also found something interesting. Mama's house, the one I'd assumed was paid off, was actually in a trust. A trust that divided everything equally between my siblings. My name wasn't on it. When I asked Mama about it years ago, she'd said, "You're the strong one. You don't need an inheritance. Let them have security." I'd accepted it then. Now I saw it for what it was. A lifetime of being excluded while being expected to provide. On Thanksgiving morning I drove to Devon's house. The whole family was there, I could see their cars. I knocked on the door. Shanice answered, looking annoyed. "Joanne, we told you, I'm not here to join. I'm here to deliver this." I handed her the lawsuit papers. "You're being sued for breach of oral contract and unjust enrichment. See you in court." Devon came to the door. "Are you serious right now? On Thanksgiving? You were serious about uninviting me because I'm too poor from funding your life." "Yes, I'm serious." I walked to my rental car, aware that they were all watching from the window. My phone rang immediately. "Mama." I answered. "Joanne Marie Johnson, you get back here right now. You're tearing this family apart." "No, Mama. You all did that when you decided I was too poor to fit in. When you took everything and gave nothing back. When you raised me to believe family meant sacrifice, but only for me. I raised you to be better than this. You raised me to be a doormat. I'm done." I hung up and blocked every number. The lawsuit did something I never expected. It got people talking. My family tried to paint me as bitter and money-hungry. Rachel made a Facebook post about toxic family members who can't move on without naming me. "But Destiny," my niece commented, "you mean Aunt Joanne who paid for my entire college education while you bought designer bags?" The comment stayed up for 3 hours before Rachel deleted it, but people had screenshotted it. Destiny messaged me that night. "Aunt Joanne, I'm so sorry. I never knew the full extent. Mom always made it seem like everyone contributed to my college fund. I found out today you paid for everything." She wasn't the only one. Troy called, devastated. "Dad told me everyone pitched in for medical school. I just found out it was all you. $40,000 while you were working 2 jobs. Gilbert had lied to his own son. The cracks in their narrative were showing. More family members, cousins, aunts, uncles started reaching out. Turns out my siblings had been borrowing from everyone, using my generosity as proof they'd pay it back like they did with Joanne. Except they hadn't paid me back. Ever. My cousin Denise came to my apartment with a bottle of wine and a confession. I loaned Gilbert $15,000 3 years ago for his business. He said you'd done the same and gotten paid back with interest. I'm still waiting. My Uncle James had given Devon $10,000. My Aunt Patricia had helped Rachel with $5,000. None of them had been repaid. We were all marks in the same con. The mediation for my lawsuit happened in December. The mediator looked over the evidence, text messages, bank transfers, witnesses, and told Devon bluntly, "You're going to lose if this goes to trial." Devon's lawyer advised him to settle. We agreed on $30,000 paid over 3 years. Not what he owed, but something. As we left, Devon grabbed my arm. "I hope you're happy. You've destroyed this family." I looked at him, really looked at him. "I didn't destroy anything. I just stopped letting you destroy me." Christmas morning, I woke up in my new apartment. Nothing fancy, a 1-bedroom in a quiet neighborhood, but it was mine. Really mine, paid for with the settlement down payment and a mortgage I could actually afford. No family photos on the walls yet. Those would come later if I wanted them. My phone had a few messages. Troy and Destiny both reached out asking if they could see me. They'd cut ties with their parents over the lies and wanted to make amends. I wasn't ready yet, but I appreciated the effort. Mama sent a text, "It's Christmas. Family should be together." I didn't respond. Some bridges once burned should stay ash. My coworker Brenda invited me to her family's dinner. "Nobody should be alone on Christmas," she'd said. I almost said no, old habits of isolation, but then I thought, why not? Her family was loud, chaotic, and warm. They argued about football and politics, laughed at terrible jokes, and didn't expect anything from me except my presence. Her brother Gilbert, different Gilbert, I noted with irony, asked what I did. "I'm a teacher," I said. "English literature." "That's amazing. Teachers changed my life." No mention of money. No requests. Just appreciation for who I was, not what I could provide. Driving home that night, I realized something. For 30 years I'd believed that love meant sacrifice. That being needed meant being loved. But real love doesn't drain you. It doesn't take everything and then discard you when you're empty. My family taught me what love isn't. Now I was learning what it is. I'm 52 years old. I have $17,000 in debt. A fortune compared to where I was, but manageable. I'm rebuilding my retirement. I'm learning to say no. I'm discovering who Joanne is when she's not defined by what she gives away. They say blood is thicker than water. But the full quote is, "The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb." The family you choose means more than the family you're born into. I'm finally choosing myself. And for the first time in my life, I'm not too poor. I'm rich with possibility.